xDefiant is a game that was announced quite a while back at Ubisoft. It's being headed by a guy named Mark Rubin, who worked at Infinity Ward during Call of Duty's, what many people consider Call of Duty's heyday. Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, back in like 2005, I think it's 2011. So he's now at Ubisoft, and he is directing and leading the way on this game called xDefiant. When this game was first announced, it was kind of I don't want to say Smash Brothers, but kind of that concept. A bunch of Ubisoft franchises coming together for one kind of Ubisoft All-Stars FPS. So Splinter Cell factions, Ghost Recon factions, Rainbow Six factions, you get the idea. It kind of had a punk rock style, which a lot of people didn't like, and it was a Tom Clancy game. This game's been announced forever. It's been being play tested for a very long time, but there was an NDA, so we couldn't talk about it. Good news, the NDA is up. I played this game, and I can talk about it. So I'm going to explain a little bit of what they've announced about xDefiant, as well as what I've played, and give you my thoughts on it. So a few things that caught my eye about xDefiant right from the get-go. It was announced as a game that's going to have a wealth of modes, and it's not a battle royale. It is what most people would refer to as I don't know if I'd say arena shooter. Maybe it's people look at it and say it's a Call of Duty style game, something like that. It does have a variety of modes, domination style modes. It also has a push mode, like Overwatch or like Team Fortress, so where one team is on offense, one team is on defense. I believe I've seen 4 modes in the current playtests. The footage that you're watching, by the way, I cannot capture footage. The capturing footage part is still under NDA. But this footage was released publicly by IGN. There's also some trailers out there with the devs talking about the game. They've been having insider play sessions, like a closed alpha or closed beta, basically, for a long time, and nobody could talk about it though. And I've criticized Ubisoft for this. They announce games, and then they go dark for a very long time on them, and I think their hype cycles are very, very strange. xDefiant was one of them. Ghost Recon Frontline was another one. It looked like the game was almost done, and then it ended up being canceled, seemingly after it was almost finished, because it was being somewhat publicly tested. The Division Heartland, it's been a strange go of things, right? So anyway, more and more people are being invited to the tests. You can play this weekend. A lot of people have invitations to this cross-play test, and yeah, you can test everything that the game has to offer. It looks pretty much, as far as what I've seen from the map designs, the game looks pretty close to finished. The maps look very good. Overall, graphically, let's start there with how the game looks. It looks something like an older Call of Duty game. It looks like a Call of Duty game from 4 or 5 years ago. I was running the game on medium settings. It ran very, very well, performed very, very well. No glitching, no stuttering. My PC can run it on high settings, but I just didn't. I always turn my settings down to get the most FPS as possible, and I don't even really monkey around with higher settings. I turn all the lighting off and stuff. It doesn't help in a competitive game. So from that perspective, again, it's not going to blow anybody's minds away in the visual department. It's not going to look as good as Modern Warfare 2, the current version, or Halo Infinite, most likely, something like that. But it runs perfect. It does what you need from a competitive, visual standpoint. Okay. Some stuff about the gameplay. This was previously announced. You can't really experience this in the playtests, but a lot of the people that are being drawn to xDefiant are people that I think are disappointed with the state of games like Call of Duty, like Warzone, maybe even Overwatch or other competitive games out there. Like Halo Infinite. I think Halo Infinite is actually on the up. I'm a big proponent of it. But anyway, xDefiant, the way it plays, the things that they've announced, one of the things they've been really championing is that they're not going to have skill-based matchmaking. A lot of gamers out there. Are you? Nice, Shaggy. What do you think of it? Let me know in chat. Maybe you'll play this weekend or something if you're around. But there's going to be no skill-based matchmaking in unranked play, which a lot of people are excited about. A lot of people yearn for the old lobbies where it wasn't such a sweat fest. A lot of Call of Duty lobbies, or even Warzone or Apex lobbies, feel super competitive. You can never really relax and just have fun and frag out or just kind of mindlessly grind a weapon because you're constantly up against stiff competition. So xDefiant will not have skill-based matchmaking in non-ranked play, and they are promising to actually have ranked play when the game actually launches, something that the last several Call of Duty games have launched without and then later get. So that's a big deal. And then again, there's already a variety of modes, and those are really the things that they're promising, is a game that's not Battle Royale, that is a little more casual, I guess, if you could call it that. But we'll see how that goes. As far as the gameplay, from what I've played so far, it does feel good. I'm not going to say the gunplay feels amazing. Like, personally, I think Call of Duty's gunplay feels a little more crisp. If this feels a little bit slower, not super slow, not something like as slow as Halo. I love Halo, by the way. That's not a knock. It feels it's somewhere in between there in its speed. The guns don't have a ton of recoil. The one thing I will say is that the guns right now, some of them just feel blatantly better than others. The time to kill is also somewhere between. I would put it longer than Call of Duty, maybe even in the Halo range. Especially with a lot of these ARs and SMGs, like, it's not just a few quick bullets. It's not just a few quick scope in. If you've been playing Call of Duty recently, you'll notice that the time to kill is a little bit longer, and that's fine. That they're not trying to be a Call of Duty replica. They're trying to do their own thing, and it does feel different, which could be a good or a bad thing, depending on who you are and how you feel about it. The other thing is all the characters, like I said, there's factions from Splinter Cell and such. They've also added factions from some of the other Clancy games. By the way, this is no longer a Clancy game. They've dropped the Tom Clancy name from it and kind of rebranded. The art has changed, and they dropped the Clancy name. They also went a little less punk rock on their marketing. But they've also added a Far Cry faction, which is interesting. And then I believe there's a faction from The Division. There's 4 factions overall, and the idea here is it's a bit of a hero shooter. Not a massive amount, I would say. It's not an ability-dominated game from what I have seen, but abilities are part of it. You have 2 abilities. One's usually, a grenade, and the other one is like a tactical ability that you can use every 20, 30 seconds, and then an ultimate ability. And again, from what I've played, I've definitely seen this as a gunplay first game. This is not Overwatch. This is not, Apex is really, in my opinion, a gunplay first game too. But even more so, this feels, from what I've seen, from somebody seeing how people are playing the game, it's a gunplay first game. There are abilities, but they're not dominating the game. The Splinter Cell faction, for example, Third Echelon, they've got stuff like cloaks and invisibility, radar, with kind of like the night vision to show where teammate or enemies are and such. I played a healer from the Far Cry faction. That's just the style of play that I was playing. But I did notice some interesting things that you'll be able to do when you pick a hero with an ability like this. You'll kind of be able to pair your gun, because you can use whatever guns you want. It has a loadout system with attachments just like Call of Duty or something like that. You can kind of custom make a play style or change up your play style depending on what character you're playing with the abilities and what guns you're running. So, for example, I think if you're going to be a sniper, playing the character with cloak might be really, really good. If you're going to be, a shotgun player or an SMG player, maybe you want to run invis to get up close and take people out, or maybe you want to be like a up close, like push on the payload and have like a healing ability so your team can be on the payload. And I think that's really interesting. You can kind of mix it up. You're not hardwired into something like the mistake that Battlefield 2042 made. And, if you play a certain class, you gotta, not Battlefield 2042, I'm sorry, because I just fixed this. Basically, you can access whatever weapons and whatever characters you want at any time. And I think that's a very good thing. The game kind of reminded me, to be honest, from a gameplay standpoint, almost like a bit like Shatterline. And Shatterline is a game that also felt kind of like Black Ops 4 Call of Duty, and a lot of people have really liked for its kind of back to the basics approach. Gunplay that feels basically like Call of Duty, that also had a push mode, characters that have abilities, But I would say xDefiant's abilities are not. Um, some of the abilities in Shadowland were really wild, and like you had this weird fluid that you could use. I don't know. We didn't get into that in xDefiant. Okay, it's all grounded in the factions and Ubisoft universes that they're melding here. And that's something that I think is really cool. The maps in this game, from what I've seen, are probably my favorite part that I've played so far. The maps are all pulling from different Ubisoft universes. So you have maps inspired by the Division universe. They look like they could be literally taken from the Division. You have maps inspired by Far Cry. There's some really cool settings here. And I really do like that. I think if you're familiar with or fans of any of those Ubisoft franchises, you'll really like playing in these environments. You're playing a different game. You're playing a PvP, competitive experience, 6v6. But it does feel now you're boots on the ground, a first-person shooter playing against a different team in an environment that looks like it's from the Division. And you're experiencing it in a different way, and I do like that. I think that's cool. The audio of the game, I know it's a big one. Dr. Disrespect's gonna be wondering about this one, and a lot of people who don't like the audio. In, for example, Warzone, I hear audio complaints in Apex. I hear audio complaints from virtually every game except for Hunt Showdown, to be honest with you. I don't feel that the audio is very strong in this game. The gun sounds don't seem to have any real oomph to them. The feedback when you're shooting players feels like it could use a little bit of a tweak to me. Like when I first started playing the game, I couldn't even tell if I was killing people based on the hit markers and the sound feedback that I was getting. It's not bad. Like footsteps, I barely heard any footsteps. But in these style of games, it's not as important. You're going to be respawning every 3 seconds. I guess hopefully not every 3 seconds. But you get what I mean. It's not a battle royale game. Dying is okay. You're going to die sometimes. I'm not saying the audio's bad. I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying I noticed that there wasn't a lot of feedback from both within gunfights and with footsteps. So overall, I'm intrigued by this game. I definitely think that it could make a mark for itself. I don't think that it's going to be the next big thing. I do think it could be a success for Ubisoft. I don't know if they've released anything about their business model yet. I'm assuming it's going to be free to play with microtransactions, game as a service, battle pass, skins you can buy. But I do think this game could be a success. I think they have enough fans of Rainbow Six, of The Division, of Ghost Recon, of Splinter Cell, to bring a lot of players into this game to try it. And with a lot of people, as always, as if this is anything new, kind of salty on Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, or, burnt out on Apex and such, this could scratch that itch. I don't think it's going to absolutely blow up, and be like the next Overwatch or take Call of Duty's place, but I do think it's good enough to carve out a player base. I hope that they can get some of the weapon balance tuned a little bit. And we don't know how we're going to unlock the weapons. Right now, all the weapons are available to players. You're probably going to have a level up system in the final game where you have to unlock them. Some of the guns, for example, the M4 felt like it took a really long time to kill people. But then there's a double barrel shotgun that you can just one-shot people with. And that's normal. But it felt like some of the guns, especially the assault rifles, felt a little underpowered to me. And hip fire on virtually all the guns felt even more useless than in Call of Duty, personally. That's kind of my experience so far. These are initial early impressions. The game may change. I'm sure it will change. It will get updates. And I've only played, to be honest with you, a few hours. So, as I learn the ins and outs of the game, my opinion may change. But these are my early impressions of xDefiant. I do think it has some promise. I think they've moved it in a good direction since they initially announced it. And I do hope they can get it out the door soon. I think 2023 has to be the year that this game releases. It's been announced forever. It's been being play tested forever. And I think it feels good enough to... it doesn't feel like it should be far away from release. I think they can get it out there and hopefully scratch an itch for a lot of us to have a new arena-style FPS that we can all play. The games don't take very long. Now, that's one of the things about BRs and extraction shooters is they can take a lot of time commitment. And this, it's going to be like team deathmatch style games. The matches are in and out, 8 to 12 minutes or whatever, and you're good to go. So that's my thoughts on xDefiant. If you've played it, let me know what you think. And if you're looking forward to it in the comments, if you're watching this on YouTube. As soon as we can stream this game, it's under NDA right now. As soon as we can stream it, I will be streaming it. So come find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/MayorReynolds, and on goes the stream.